We do have that. And as we start off this evening, first of all, welcome to those of you who are on the call with us. I am Jill Cardinal. I'm the campus event coordinator, and this is my new life of doing Zoom video events, much different than the past, but we're glad to see you again. Feel free to chat and ask questions as we go. We're going to do this very informally. I'm going to continue letting folks in the room. We got Aiden joining us. So Professor Hatcher is with us to start tonight. We're expecting Professor Schatzinger to join us from the Political Science Department. He will be with us shortly. Professor Hatcher is in the Psychology Department. So I'm going to turn over to Joe, and if you want to kind of give a little intro of yourself, and then we can kind of just jump in. Again, students, this is very informal. You may feel free to ask. You'll find out from myself and Joe, we're pretty casual here. So we want you to chat and share whatever your concerns and thoughts are. So Joe, I'll give it over to you, okay?
Okay, thank you very much, Joe. And it's nice to meet you folks. Let's see, what do you need to know about me? I'm in the psychology department. I almost became a lawyer. As a matter of fact, I went through college with the idea of being a lawyer. It wasn't until I graduated that I decided to go into psychology. I majored in psychology because you got to major in something. And I found that I like psychology, but I didn't plan to do it. And that's kind of interesting because, whatever your plans are right now, you may not wind up doing that either. And it'll be okay because something else would have come along. So what I want to do is talk to you a little bit about my psych background, because some of you are psych people, and then talk a little bit about liberal arts and what that's all about. My own background, I was born and raised in Georgia, in rural Georgia. I was the first person in my family to finish high school. I wound up going to Dartmouth College for undergraduate up in the Ivy Leagues, and I wound up getting my PhD from Vanderbilt University in social psychology. So I've been at Ripon College for 34 years, and I do research, I teach, and I've really enjoyed it. Now, in psychology, it's kind of interesting because if you spent 30 years in college instead of 4, you would take all kinds of things and your interest would change, and that's what's happened to me. I've kind of been in college for 34 years. Yes, I'm teaching it, but I'm also interested in the liberal arts, which is looking at the world from all kinds of points of view. So I get a little bored every now and then, so I do something new. So at one point I went back and I respecialized in counseling. I had not done that before. So I went back and respecialized in counseling, and I wound up working in prisons and in jails. And now I work in nursing homes. I do mental health work in nursing homes. And so to me, it's really nice to talk about the work in the classroom, but go out and do the work as well. So I can tell stories, and I can, right now we're covering schizophrenia in my psychopathology class, and I can talk about people I work with, in prisons and in jails who have very severe mental illness. And here they are in a situation that's not really conducive to good mental health. And we talk about we talk about societal issues as well. For example, 30 or 40 years ago, there were a lot of mental health hospitals. And if people were mentally ill, that's kind of where they were. Well, we sort of shut those down, and people kind of went home or to the streets. And these days, if you want to find a lot of mentally ill people in one place, you know where you go? You go to prisons, because that's where they are. And this is a law issue. It's a psychology issue. So these are public policy issues. And what I tell my students is that you're the leaders of the future. So you need to know this stuff. You need to be thinking about it. And sure, part of it is the classroom and part of it is what you learn there. But it's all connected to the outside world, or it's kind of pointless, and that's my perspective anyway. So what do? I try to get students to learn some things, certainly, but I try to get you ready for the next step. So we have people do internships. That was pre-COVID. and it'll be post-COVID as well, going into alternative high schools. I take students into nursing homes with me. I've taken students into the jail with me before, and we do groups, and people get a sense of what it's like to do that thing. So not just reading about it in a book, but what is it like to work with the elderly, and what are your attitudes toward the elderly? Are you comfortable with old folks? Or would you rather not talk to them? And I kind of understand that. But so to me, the more outside exposure you get, the better off you are. And what I'm also teaching is I'm teaching in the Catalyst curriculum. We have that 5-course thing. I teach 120, which is quantitative reasoning. So the idea is that anybody, no matter what your major is, you have to be able to think with numbers. You need to be able to apply them. You don't have to do calculus, but you need to know how to use data to answer questions. And that's in the law field as well as psychology, So I try to do a lot of applied things like that. I really enjoy it. I've been doing it for a long time. I still get excited about every new semester. And I just think it's the best job in the world. But, so who knows? Maybe some of you would wind up being college professors as well. That's not a bad life, I can tell you. So, okay, so that's a little bit about me, and I'm curious about what kind of questions you would have.
Yes, feel free to ask. And
anything
again,
at all. Anything
again,
at all.
Professor Schatzner will come on in just a few to talk also about political science and law. But yes, feel free to ask anything that you have on your mind.
I think psychology is a great major for law, by the way. There's a lot of logical thinking. There's a lot of stuff that about jury selection, all those kind of things are sort of psychological, actually. So anyway.
I was wondering, do you think your views on psychology have maybe changed over time with experience, or do you use that more and see that strengthens your views?
Well, that's a good question, Jake. My views have certainly changed over time. I've learned a lot. I learn things from students too. Every now and then a student will say something I never thought of before. I'll say, well, thank you very much for that. I think we're all kind of stumbling through life and trying to figure things out, and my views have certainly changed over the years. Like I said, I went back to school about 12 years ago and became a clinician. That was my last category of interest before. I never would have done that. But as I got older, and the other thing I do, I teach a half marathon class. I actually teach a course on running. Now, what's that got to do with anything? Well, it's a motivation course. I've run 6 or 7 marathons. I'm not a runner. I just found a way to do it. I run with my wife, actually, and then when she wouldn't do it, and then I taught a class, because if you teach a class, you kind of have to do it. So this fascinates me. How do you get yourself to do stuff? I take students to Jamaica. Can you see the little Jamaica flag back behind me?
Yeah.
We go spend 2 weeks in rural Jamaica. This is not, tourist Jamaica. We live with families and we see what life is like there, and we work in the schools. So to me, what I've done is expose myself to a lot of stuff, and everything I do creates new thoughts and new feelings. And that's what life is all about. You expose yourself to stuff. What I tell students is that you've already got a theory of the world. We call it your implicit theory. You've already got a theory of the world, and part of it's wrong, because how much can you possibly know? So you go through life kind of improving your theory of the world through experiences. And psychology can help you a lot, because you can talk about studies, and you can say, people do that. I didn't know that. Okay. And then you kind of add that too, and you add your own experience, and you learn to collect a lot of data and not just go by what happened to you, So yeah, to me, it's a constant changing way of thinking and ways of doing things. And that's what lifelong education is all about. We just do 4 years of it. The rest of it's up to you. But hopefully we get things started that you'll keep doing. Get outside your comfort zone, expose yourself to new things. And, what's life going to be like 30 or 40 years from now? Heavens, it's really hard to imagine, but you'll be in it. And, let's get some good things started at this point.
Joe, would you want to maybe share a little bit about what Professor Kovac-Lesh and Professor Maynard specialize in?
Yeah, we have other people in our department. Dr. Kovac-Lesh specializes in children, so she does a lot of child psych things. We all teach different kinds of courses. Dr. Maynor is an animal person, so she does research with dogs. She also does neuroscience. She does experiments like with dogs helping their owners. One of my favorite studies. Uh, uh, she had a person sitting on a couch crying, okay? And in some cases, it's the owner of the dog. What do you think the dog does when you're crying? Well, the dog comes over and tries to make you feel better. And that's great. It turns out they do it with everybody. You don't have to be the owner. They just do that. And I thought that's really fascinating, because if my dog did that, I'd say, oh, my dog loves me. Oh, that's so sweet. But it turns out they do it to everybody, so you wouldn't know that if you didn't do the study. And she actually got on national TV, and she became famous, for doing helping behavior studies with dogs. So, and she's got students working with her. Dr. Colbeck-West has students working with them. I have students that work with me. So you can do research while you're here too, and if you want to go to PhD programs, we have a lot of students that do that. I have a lot of students that go to master's programs for counseling and things like that. And you don't have to do that, but if you want to, we get you ready and we push you along, and, we really get to know you. I email with past students all the time, and it's just a lot of fun. We really do form relationships that last a long time. Other questions?
Got a quiet group.
That's all right.
So if you're thinking psychology as a major, how come? What's your thought about that as a student? Why do you want to study psychology?
Anybody got an answer to that?
I've been thinking that for a while now, and I just guess it's pretty interesting to me. And for me, it just seemed like it would apply to a lot of different areas, and that,
Sure.
Even if I didn't wind up in a field that I would be thinking I'd go into, I think it could apply to really a lot of different areas.
Certainly does. It certainly does. And, we're talking about ourselves. I mean, why do I like the people I like? Why do I worry about whether people like me or not? Why do I care how my hair looks? I mean, all these kind of things. This is all psychology. And then you get into the disorders, and I talk a lot about those kind of things. And I think everybody's carrying something. Everybody's having some kind of difficulty in life. And it's even points of view. I mean, my point of view on human beings is that we're really incredibly strong. We bounce back, and bad things happen to us. Post-traumatic growth is 2 to 3 times as common as post-traumatic stress disorder is. When we go through hard times, we come down, but we come back up, and we usually come back up stronger because we learn stuff. Anyway, I like talking about that kind of thing. I like helping people be more healthy and live healthier lives, so I like to feel like my work makes the world a better place a little bit, and I think meaningfulness is really important with whatever it is you decide to do. Other questions? I like to look at faces.
So regarding your law scholars program, if I were to join that as a sophomore as opposed to a freshman, would that change the outcome of it at all?
Jill, do you know anything about that?
Let's see if I can answer that. I have to look up some stuff. That's not something on the top of my mind. Professor Schatzner will be joining us any minute now. So I think if we want to hold that question, was that Aiden that asked that?
Yeah.
Let's hold and ask that again. And if we still don't have the answer, we'll get you something, but he may have some more, obviously knowledge on the law scholars program.
Okay, thank you.
And I do expect him like any second now, so.
Sylvia, I think you had a question.
I mean, I kind of had one. One was partly retaining to the pre-law scholars program again, just more or less just the qualifications for that one. But I guess one thing I could say was that, where was I going with that? How beneficial do you think it is to like double major in psych and law? Because like, I know that's one of the reasons I was looking at it was because I like psychology. I'm in AP Psych right now. And I feel like it can like contribute to it a lot. But like, what's your opinion on that?
Well, there are a whole lot of angles where psychology becomes important in law. For example, do we enforce the laws differently for different kinds of people? people of color, for example? Yeah, I think we kind of do. And and how do we not do that? I mean, how do we train police officers? One study I found was that when you record what happens in a traffic stop, police are much more polite to white people. They start off being impolite with people of color. And it's kind of like, wow, look at there, you can record that, and you could use that for training. And this has been done for training, where they go back to police forces and they say, look, this is how people are treating, so can we do that differently? So that's law enforcement. With juries, do people convict people of color at different rates? You can ask all these kinds of questions. Okay, let's talk about drugs for a minute. Should drugs be legal? Okay, that's a psychological question. It's a legal question. What is the single most damaging and addictive drug in the world? It's alcohol. That's legal. Should that be legal? Heroin comes in second. Okay. These days, there's a movement toward legalizing some of the psychedelic drugs. A lot of that is attitudinal stuff. How do you feel about that? Well, a lot of people are worried about it. The science seems to say, well, that's actually a very good treatment for, strangely enough, for addiction. People have one experience with a psychedelic and they think about themselves differently, and they sometimes stop doing that other stuff. So it's being used in therapy, and that's science. That's science on the edge of law, which is on the edge of societal attitude. So all this stuff kind of goes together. That's the whole liberal arts idea, is there's a connection somewhere. I'm sorry, Sylvia, I didn't mean to embarrass you. You have an expressive face, and I always kind of gravitate toward people that give you a little bit of feedback, because professors, we only know how we're doing by what you show us, and it's nice to have expressive faces. So.
Oh, I'm going to admit Professor Schatzinger. And I know, I forget, Aiden and Sylvia asked me about law too. Have you seen the pre-law requirements at all yet? The pre-scholars program?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so what I'll do, Professor Schatzinger, welcome, has joined us, and we started off with some psychology questions and discussion. There are several students who are interested in law and political science. One of them, right off the bat, they were asking about the pre-law scholars program. Can you enlighten them? I mean, I can see things online, but can you enlighten them a little bit more about that program?
Could you just give me 1 minute?
Of course.
I'll be right with you, okay?
Yep, you bet. Other questions for Professor Hatcher?
I just had a question about can you explain the social work program?
Yeah, we don't offer an actual degree at this point. You can take courses in psychology and in sociology that are relevant to it. And what we often do is, one of my pieces of advice is, if you want to be a therapist, or if you want to work with people, a master's in social work is a really good idea. We don't offer that degree here because we don't offer any master's degrees right now, but we get students ready for that kind of thing. And I have quite a few students who have gone on to programs like that. Social work is really a combination of psychology and sociology, and we teach both of those kinds of courses here. So
I can think of a couple students before Henrik starts, but Allie Brettel, I know, is now a licensed social worker. Kat Tracy, she had a lot of internships while she was here, correct?
Yes, she did. I think she did like 6 different internships.
Yeah.
And people were asking, how'd you do that? What'd you do? How'd you do that? So, I mean, what I would tell you, any college that you go to, Ripon's no exception, step forward and let people know what you're interested in, and we'll help you get hooked up with something, that furthers that interest, because, again, the more experiences you have, the more you're going to know. And it's not just in the classroom stuff. I mean, that's useful, but that's not where it stops. So let's get outside the classroom and do things. One of my classes right now, my Catalyst course, is putting together a campus project for trying to cheer people up. You know, let's just cheer people up. You know, COVID is kind of, you know, life is a little different. We're in classes with masks, you know, and people can't get together quite as much as they used to. So let's cheer people up. So we're going to use some established principles that we're studying in the class and do things on campus that might have an impact. You know, it's not just about learning about things, and that's helpful. But if you don't do anything with it, you know, it's kind of like, what was the point then? You know, so I've been around long enough to have some strange ideas like that. You know, I want to be useful. So.
Jill, I'm
Yes.
ready to give an answer.
You have the green light, Henrik.
Okay. Well, first of all, you know, thank you for being here and taking time to you know, to learn more about Ripon and our offerings. I think it's a great school. We just had a good discussion about the history of LGBTQ rights and the movement. We looked at someone who is a key leader in the movement, Cleve Jones, and we read his book. And so now students, we're going to watch a part of the movie Milk. And so it was just fun. You know, it's fun to have these kind of discussions in the classroom, and especially cool because in a small liberal arts environment, you know, we have these very direct interactions with students, right? And lots of like chances for small group work and getting to know students really well. And it's amazing how students are opening up in this kind of environment. I don't think they would feel probably as comfortable in a class with like, you know, 40 or 50 students, but, you know, having them share their personal experiences is really valuable and moves the discussion forward. And so, you know, I have a wonderful job, and I love going to work every day. This morning, I had an interview with the newspaper on dark money and politics, because I study money and politics, and this is an investigative reporter in Oklahoma, and so she's writing a story and needed to learn more about you know, how these groups operate. And so, you know, it's kind of a cool life, and it's sort of fun to work on these different things. So to answer your questions about the 3+3 program, so Ripon students who get into this 3+3 program, they can complete the fourth year at a couple of different places, right? My understanding is American University and also Marquette, right? And I don't know if we have other schools attached to this, but the idea is that you complete your fourth year at another school and you transfer back to Ripon your credits for the AB degree. And then you complete your JD at the other school. So it allows for the completion of your undergraduate and law degrees in a shorter time frame. That's the whole purpose of it. And you apply for the program at Ripon College, and there are certain requirements in terms of ACT and even high school GPA and even Ripon College GPA. You have to have a 3.5 at Ripon College at the end of your sophomore year. That's an important requirement. And you can still apply, but you have to then it's not, then you have to go through a different sort of process, and you're not automatically eligible for that. And then, you know, there are certain requirements, right? You have to have 96 credits that you must complete at Ripon, have to finish your catalyst and so on. You take the LSAT. And again, there is no guarantee of admission, but we've had good success in getting students accepted. And so then there's also the Marquette Law School program. So we have American University, and we have Marquette Law School here. I'm just looking through the list of things.
There's Hamlin University, right?
Thank you. You know, I need to get an updated version of
no,
mine.
that's okay. University of St. Thomas School of Law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had some students there. I've sent some students there. So we have a good record of getting students accepted. We have a great pre-law advisor. That's not me, that's Steve Sorensen. He was president of the Wisconsin State Bar Association. He has really good connections. So one thing you have to know is sort of, we have a good track record in getting students where they want to go. And we have a great pre-law advisor who is well connected in the state. And so if you want to pursue a career in that direction, yes, there are this is all details, right, about the credit numbers and all these things. But I think what's more important is that we have these pathways, we are expanding them, and we want you to succeed, and we have a good record of that.
Thank you. Other questions? Again, anything in the political science field for Professor Schatzinger? And I don't think, Professor, you didn't start off, we didn't have you kind of really introduce yourself and maybe tell how long you've been here and what kinds of classes you teach.
Yeah, just real quick. So Henrik Schatzinger, as you can hear, I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Germany. I came here as an exchange and Fulbright student to the US in 2001. And since then, I finished my master's and PhD in Kansas at Georgia. I worked in a small think tank, Washington, DC. And then I started working here in 2009. And, it's been a wonderful time here. And I teach courses on American politics and public policy, research methods. I actually have taught, because of one of my sort of promotion things, I had to put together a little portfolio. I've taught 20 different courses at Ripon College in my 10 years here. So I've taught a whole variety of different things. I specialize in interest groups and lobbying. I don't know if anybody has an interest in like the world of campaigns and money and politics. And I think that's all very exciting, and I love. And I work with students a lot. So one thing you have to know is when you come here, I'm working on a new book project, and I have a couple of students who are helping me, and they have helped me in the past. And so that's kind of a cool, like at a bigger university, I would hire graduate students, right? Here we work with undergraduates. And to be honest, I know that it has helped students to really advance their careers, and it has come up in job interviews and those kinds of things. And I'm also department chair, and I'm also the co-director of the Center for Politics and the People. And so what we do is we organize events on campus. In the last 4.5 years, my colleague and I, we've organized about 70 events with almost 200 speakers. And so there's always something going on here on campus, even though it's a very small campus. And we have very active student clubs, organizations. And it's the nice thing about a small school like this is that you can get involved very quickly, and you can have leadership positions, and you can do things that you may not be able to at other schools. So I think that's really cool.
I was just
Feel
gonna
free to ask
this-
anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Students, if you want to share real quick with each other where you're from. I know we have someone from California, correct?
Cool.
But good to, a few of you are enrolled. Andrea, I'm picking on you, right, from California.
Yeah.
What part of California?
Southern California.
Okay.
Los Angeles, you can say whatever.
Los Angeles area. I'm like an hour from LA.
Yeah, wonderful. And let's see, Jake, you're from Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, Marquezan.
Marquezan, so right
By the
near
Green
here.
Lake area.
Not too
far
about
away.
15 minutes away from Ripon.
Right. Sylvia, you're from Wisconsin. What part are you from?
I'm in southeastern East Troy, Mugwanago area, so it's like 30-45 minutes from Milwaukee.
Okay. See, I can associate who your admission counselors are by where you are from. Annabelle, you are from Wisconsin. Which part are you from?
I'm from Racine.
Racine. So Lynn McCarthy. Olivia, I believe. Oh, you're from Wisconsin too. Do you go to school somewhere else though?
Yeah, I go to school in Oregon because
Okay.
I've moved around a lot.
Yeah. So Sarah Quella, and then Aiden. You are from Wisconsin, but what part are you from?
I'm from Oshkosh.
Oshkosh. Okay. So probably Jen Mahachuk is your counselor.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. I want you all to, see each other because you might have classes together, might be in a fraternity or sorority together. And those are some cool things to know. I know Joe teaches a catalyst. At least I know the title of it. Henrik, do you teach a catalyst like this year? Are you teaching anything?
No, not this year. I teach
Not this
normally
year.
Catalyst 300 is
Okay.
the one that I teach normally.
Okay. And all the students, you do know enough about the catalyst, correct? Anybody need any questions answered? Those are those 5 courses that you all are required to take. Joe, if you want to talk about yours, sorry.
Yeah, we get to have a lot of fun with Catalyst because my course is quantitative reasoning. So I can teach anything I want to that involves a whole bunch of numbers. And I've always been curious about people's attitudes toward the world and what's it like out there. So the title of my course is The World's Going to Hell. And what we do is examine that idea, because if you read the first line of the course description, it's, or is it? How would you know? You'd have to measure something, wouldn't you? So we're reading a book by Steven Pinker called Enlightenment Now, where he measures things like poverty and crime and war and all these things that are happening in the world. And the question is, okay, if you go back through history, are things better now or are they worse now? And what's interesting to me is that so many people think things are terrible now, but actually things have gotten better. And not everything, but if you look at it, it's important to know. And of course, his argument is, why'd they get better? Well, because we use reason and science, and we should maybe keep doing that. So to me, that's a really interesting thing. We walk through the chapters, the students get to present things, and it's all about using numbers to make decisions. How would you know if things get better? You wouldn't look out the window. You'd measure something, and probably a lot of things. Global warming, for example. If you're in Wisconsin right this minute, it doesn't seem very warm, but that's not how you measure it. You don't look out the window.
It doesn't seem, it isn't.
So, yeah, it's just like Southern California here. No, I'm kidding, but to me that's interesting, and to come out of the course with those kinds of skills, and not just knowing how to do it, but knowing when to do it. I mean, actually, we were practicing today saying together. That's an empirical question. That's an empirical question. Okay, it's not an opinion question. Let's go find out what the truth is about this. We can measure this. So I enjoy that.
I'm on board with Joe on that one. I also taught the same course in the past, Catalyst 120, and just like you, I think it's fun to ask these questions about, okay, if we have a question, how do we go about testing it, right? And thinking about your outcome variable, and then what are some of the input factors, right? And how do we measure those kinds of input factors? And I always enjoyed this. And then it gives us something, if we can actually measure something, we can actually test our ideas. I love that, right? So we don't have just sort of opinions floating around, but we can actually try to see, are those ideas, is there evidence for this or not?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the evidence turns out to be different from what you expected.
Yeah.
And
that makes it also interesting.
Sometimes you kind of have to change your mind about things. And that's hard to do, but it's really important to change your mind when you find you were wrong to start with, and to be willing to do that is an act of courage. It's an act of intellectual courage.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to practice that, because we're not right about everything. That's
I just want to add, if you are joining us now, we are just wrapping up the social science session. Please stay tuned. We will start the science session in a few minutes, but we're just wrapping up some discussion here with a couple professors. Professor Schatzinger, did you just talk that you were teaching a 300 level this semester?
I've taught Catalyst 300, the Applied Innovation Seminar, several times. In fact, I was on the committee that kind of created this whole seminar experience.
I was just going to ask if maybe you wanted to share like one of the problems that students have dug into as a project for that seminar.
Yeah, so I think what's most important, I think, out of this whole seminar experience is we try to really, I think, establish skills that help you, going forward, right, in the workforce or in graduate school or in law school, right? So I think no matter where you work these days, I mean, I visited, speaking of California, I went to Silicon Valley there for a 10-day seminar. I visited all these different, companies, and all of these things all of these people work in teams, right? So it's important to think about how to work effectively in a group setting, no matter what the problem is, right? And so and then struggling with sort of I want to say ill-defined problems, right? Problems that are difficult maybe to define, but also the ill-defined solutions as well, kind of thing. So I think that's where I'm just trying to ask questions to push them in a certain direction, but the students have to find their own pathway, right? So it could be something like, one group focused on like subsidized sort of food programs in Milwaukee, and what can we do to maybe change, have better and healthier food for those maybe who are receiving state help. And this is sort of very concrete, but in some ways, again, it's amazing. And the students come from different disciplines, right? But it's kind of cool when you have someone with a science background and someone, as a philosophy major, and then you have someone from political science, and they all kind of tackle this question together as a team. And then within one semester, they come up with this sort of ideas, and they may also talk to people on the ground, so interview people or something, and that's, I think, really neat to see how you come from different backgrounds and try to find an innovative solution to something. And I'm just a mentor. I'm just the guide on the side, right? Not the sage on the stage kind of thing. And that's, I think, it's an interesting and challenging experience for everyone involved.
Thank you. We have just a few minutes. If anybody would like to still ask a question of Professor Hatcher or Professor Schatzinger.
Yeah. So while I have you here, Professor Schatzinger, so about the pre-law thing, so I was looking at the application and it talks about your experiences that would qualify you for that. What does that actually like entail? Because I know I'm really interested in that, but because I'm in like a really small town, I don't have like opportunities to engage in that. So I was confused on that level.
Just as a clarification, does it talk about experience now already before college starts, or does it talk about experience once you are in college? I wasn't quite sure about.
Oh, it had asked you about like what experience do you have that would prepare you to be like an effective or a good candidate for the program itself. So that's what I was thinking, like prior, like law related, and I didn't know what that would.
Yeah, but I think it really refers to once you come here and what you do in those sort of first 2 years, right? Or the first 2.5 years before you apply, right? And there are lots of things that I can see that I could think of that might help you prepare for the next level, right? So we have a pre-law society, right? And being active in it, or having a leadership position, or they've had like day trips to visit different law schools and like the state Supreme Court, and have had panel discussions. And, I think you don't have to worry about it sort of, right now in terms of, oh, what do I have under my belt that would kind of help me to get there, right? Once you are here, some students get internship experiences with offices, before they start to make sure it's the right thing for them to do. So I think there's still plenty of time, the way I understand it, right, to really get those experiences before you really send out your applications to American University or Marquette or wherever. Jill, am I saying something right or wrong?
I think you're right. I won't pretend I'm the expert in the pre-scholars program, but yes, and certainly we can get you more information. As Professor said, Steve Sorensen is kind of the liaison for that program, but check with your admission counselor too, if you'd like, Sylvia, and they might be able to get some more information to you. With that, I'm going to say thank you to Professor Schatzer and Professor Hatcher and all of you students for joining. I really appreciate it. I hope that you found some information useful and helpful. And I know many of you will hopefully see on campus in the fall. If you haven't decided yet, you still have time, but these are the kinds of professors that you might run into should you choose to come to Ripon. So thank you. You are free to go. If you want to stay, Yep, we do have a science professor. Amuna Khan is actually biology, and she'll be joining us shortly to discuss the sciences on campus. Henrik, what kinds of questions? Did you have something else?
Hey, Joe, any final words for the students?
I don't think so, but I want to ask Kevin what kind of fish that is. That's a heck of a fish. Is that a northern or is that a muskie? Maybe Kevin stepped out. I'm just curious. So
Well, I wanted to say,
It's a muskie.
muskie. Okay, that's what I thought.
49
There you
inches.
go. Perfect.
That's huge. Well,
Yeah.
Green Lake, for those of you that don't know, Green Lake is a huge, beautiful lake, and it's 6 miles away. And it's a great place to go for recreation. I've got a little boat. I do some fishing out there, and
So I'm going
I
to
just
make
wanna
the
say-
assumption Jaden is from Oshkosh, right? And Kevin is your father.
Yes, yep,
Yes.
that's correct.
Perfect.
Oh,
Yep,
sorry. Okay, sorry. I was going by the name. Yeah.
that's okay. It works.
yeah, I just
Okay,
want to
well,
say
nice
thank you for your interest in this today. And, I'm really privileged to work with great students and also like great colleagues, like the one here next to me, Joe Hatcher. He's a really great, fun professor who is serious about the subject, but has great connections with students. We love working with our students. And I think, overall it's fun, right? I go to work every day and I have a lot of fun. And that's sort of what I think you can hope for as a student, right? That people go there and enjoy what they're doing.
That's right.
Well
Okay,
said.
nice to meet you all. Hope to
Thank
see you
you.
again sometime.
Again,
Bye-bye.
we'll have science starting shortly, so feel free to stay, or if you're jumping in, we will have Professor Khan coming in very soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Yep, bye-bye. And again, feel free, this is very informal. We want you to ask questions. We would love to see your faces if you don't mind sharing your video. We're very casual here and really want to just talk with you and share some highlights in the sciences and the departments. And again, I'm joined by Mamuna Khan. So with that, it's 4:47. Professor Khan, I'm going to turn things over to you. If you would like to start off with just an introduction about yourself and how long you've been at Ripon and that kind of thing. And then as students kind of get settled, we'll see what questions they have. Does that work?
Sure. Yep. So my name is Mamuna Khan. You can see it on the screen. I joined the Ripon College faculty in 2006. I am the chair of the department. I'm a full professor, and I'm technically an avian ecologist. So I study bluebirds actually on campus. I'm interested in things about their ecology, their population. Right now, I'm working on a project to document that they're not migrating. My population is individually marked, and so I can see that Sam the bluebird decided not to fly south this winter. So anyway, that's some of the research that I do. So I've been here for in my 14th year. I teach classes like ecology, vertebrate zoology, and then I taught intro and all sorts of things like that. So you can ask me questions about the classes that we offer. Let's see, what else, Jill? Or actually, what else do you guys want to know? Anything burning? Okay.
Yeah, I think again, we'll maybe talk about some of the requirements for a biology major. It looks like a lot of students are that's more of the popular idea tonight. There's some looking at pre-med. Again, if you want to share your video, ask questions, either just unmute yourself, use the chat button, whatever you wish. I'm going to ask if Chris and iPhone could chat and let me know who you are. There are raffle prizes up for grabs here. End of the semester, we're going to do raffle prizes. So by joining tonight, you have a option. You have one name in the drawing. So if you can share who you are, I think I have the rest of you marked down. And then maybe real quick, while you're thinking of questions, why don't we do this? Why don't we have? I'm going to just call out your name, and if you tell us where you're at in the country, and if you've deposited enrolled already to Ripon. So Ian, You come up first on here. Where are you from in Wisconsin?
So I live in Stoughton, Wisconsin at the moment. I'm originally from Middleton, Wisconsin, which is just like 40 minutes west of here. And I have not deposited yet, but if I do go to Ripon, I plan on majoring in chem bio and
Awesome.
going pre-med.
Good. Jaden, how about you? I know you're from Oshkosh and you're a tennis player.
Oh yeah. Yes, I'm an Oshkosh tennis player. Also play basketball.
Good.
I did not do a deposit yet. I'm still considering my options.
Yeah.
Might go undecided, but with some direction. Have ideas of what I want to do, but just keep it open.
You bet. Olivia.
I'm in Coloma, Wisconsin. If you know where Stevens Point is, kind of in that area. It's a small little town. I have deposited to Ripon, and I am looking to major in environmental studies.
Cool. Great. Sophia. You're from Missouri.
I am from, I'm from Wentzville, Missouri, which is like 40 minutes outside of St. Louis. And I have deposited to Ripon, and I plan on majoring in chem bio.
Wonderful. And let's see, we then go to, how about Sam?
I'm from Amro, Wisconsin. I have deposited and I plan on majoring in some sort of science field yet. I haven't decided.
Great. Emily Pickard, you're from Wisconsin.
I'm from Milwaukee, and I plan on majoring in pre-vet and pre-medicine.
Great. Nicholas, where are you from?
I'm actually from Minnesota. I'm from the Twin Cities.
Great.
I have not deposited. I'm still waiting on just some financial aid stuff, just see what's going to happen with that. But if I do go to Ripon, I will. I don't actually have a specific major chosen yet, but I will definitely be going into computer science and mathematics.
Great. Okay. And then Kenneth.
I'm from Genoa City, Wisconsin. I have not deposited yet, but I'm going to major in pre-physical therapy.
Good. And then last but not least, Owen.
I'm from Kenosha, Wisconsin. I have not deposited, and I'm going to major in biology.
Great.
Awesome. So
We have
welcome.
we have some parents on board. So now a little sense of what students are looking at, Mamuna. And again, please throw some questions out. That's what we're here for, to answer things. And again, very informal.
Right. So I also have taught environmental studies. There was someone interested in the environment. In ecology would be a course that you would probably take if you were majoring in that. So I just wanted to, it looks like we have some people who are interested in health fields, veterinary medicine and whatnot. We don't have something called a pre-vet major, but if you take a look at the catalog, you'll see that the chem bio major, or even a chemistry major, bio minor, or some other combination, you would get the courses that you would need to do well on the MCAT. We also have a very active health professions. We have a health professions advisory committee, and the chair of that is a biology professor, Barbara Sisson. And we also have I don't know if it's a club, but health professions, group where students who are interested in this kind of thing get together on a fairly regular basis to share stories, to get involved with internships and get that sort of hands-on experiences that the medical schools want. And if you guys may have other questions about those tracks. So, all right, and so of course I'm most familiar with the biology major. Generally, the science majors in terms of number of credits is somewhere around 40. Like, so for biology, we've got 33 credits in the biology department, and then you have to take 2 chemistry classes. The chemistry classes, because they have long labs, they're 5 credits each. So it's 10 credits in chemistry. And of course we have a statistics requirement that you can take in either math or psych. And so total number of credits is 47. Number of credits in biology is 33. So that's, and generally the way Ripon works is you should be able to finish your major in, like, you're here for 4 years, you have 124 credits to get your degree, right? And some of those credits are elective, some of those credits are towards your major, but there's plenty of credits to play around with to get a minor if you wanted to, or to explore some other interests. Like, so for instance, I've had students that were biology philosophy double majors. Both of those guys are lawyers, actually. And so there's lots of different combinations that you can do to sort of craft your degree toward your interests, right? So environmental studies, that's environmental studies, not science. And so you're taking econ classes and philosophy classes in addition to sort of biology and ecology to round out your knowledge of that. All right, so I don't know, I think I'd like, what kind of questions do you guys have? Would you like to know, like for me to answer?
So I had a question. So if I'm majoring in environmental studies, do you think there would be a specific minor that I would take to help kind of craft my degree to the best of my extent?
Well, it depends on what you're interested in, right? So if you're coming at environmental studies from where you want to go into, say, consulting, right? Maybe we have a graduate who works for a tall grass restoration consulting company, right? Then you'd probably want to take more field biology classes, right? If you're interested in policy, maybe you're going to want to take history. Maybe you're going to want to take some classes in our sort of political science classes, right? And econ, right? So there's that's what I would that's how I would sort of think about it, is where are your interests in environmental studies, and what do you want to be, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to work at a nonprofit? Do you want to be in the policy end? Do you want to be in the data collection end? That's how I would attack it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I was looking at the sample schedule the other day for like a chem bio major, and is it possible to take more than 4 classes per semester, or is that just like a set limit?
Right, so to be a full-time student, you have to take 12 credits, so that's 3. And to finish in 4 years, you need to average 15 and a half credits, right? So that's where we get that four classes would get you to that 16, 16 that would get you to that 124 within the eight semesters that you're on campus, right? So you can take more than 16 credits. There are some classes that are 2 credits, right, that you can get into that only run half a semester, or there's also independent studies. And if you're going to be taking 20 or more, you need special permission, right? Okay. So yeah, and so basically you work with your advisor. The way we've done since COVID, registration's been a little bit different. So we basically allow you to schedule that minimum, and then you add on through communication with the advisor and the registrar, right? So for instance, I've had a couple students take over 20 credits. We look at things about past performance, how have they done with heavy loads, and then usually say, yeah, this person can handle it, no problem, right? But it's just a little extra hoop that we jump through. You can't just sign up for 20 right away. And the reason why the 16 is there is just because that's the minimum that you need to take to finish in 4 years.
I would point out, you can take up to 20 credits at no extra charge for tuition. Once you're beyond 20, there is an extra charge per credit. And there's some caveats with that too. If it's like a music or a band thing, it's not counted, but just figure that if you really wanted to, you can take 5 classes a semester without having to have an extra cost.
Good, thanks, Jill.
Mm-hmm. Other questions?
Another one.
Oh, go ahead.
So for like biology 500 or like chemistry 500, is that like an independent research thing, or is that a guided course, or is that like a senior thesis type thing?
Great question. So the biology 500 levels, we have 501 and 502. So this is our senior seminar. So I'll say that it varies, right? For us, yes, it's senior thesis. And the majority of students are working with one of the faculty members on a project in their lab, and are basically planning their study and collecting data in that first semester, and then writing it up and presenting their data in the second semester, right?
Okay.
If, for instance, you got an internship or got an NSF research experience for undergraduates at another institution before you're a senior, like say between your junior and senior year, and you did research, like 12 weeks of research, you can use that project as your senior seminar research, right? So you would work with one of us as your mentor to do the assignments that are required. It's not just writing a paper. You have to do a research proposal, right, in that first semester and present it orally. In the second semester, you're doing a 15-minute research talk and writing a paper. And we have other little assignments too, like a resume and some other things. And we have research talks. So we bring in invited speakers that you have to listen to. And it's we had a great one 2 weeks ago. We had an alum who's a retired ecologist who worked at University of Massachusetts Amherst, I think. And he was talking about his work on Lyme disease, ecology of mice. He's actually a mammologist, and he had been doing research on the mouse role as a vector for Lyme disease out east. So anyway, you get to listen to some cool stuff I didn't know about.
That sounds
We all
awesome.
learned something. Yeah, so that's how the biology senior sem. And you can work, you can start doing research with us at any time, right? So if you're interested, you can start doing research in our labs with us as a freshman, right? I have students working with me every summer, and they're not necessarily seniors on the Bluebird project. Students also, motivated students, can design their own projects. For instance, last year we had a student who was really interested in the properties of sphagnum moss to remove lead from water. So he did an experiment. He set up an experiment with replicates and ran his experiment under the guide. And one of us was our mentors, just to bounce ideas off of, and we gave him the space to do that project. And finally, if some people do a review paper, so they don't do original research, but they test a hypothesis by doing a in-depth research paper. So those tend to be longer in terms of writing. Okay. Chemistry. So in the way senior SEMs are run varies with the department. Okay. Chemistry, they have to talk for 45 minutes. They have fewer majors, so actually they have enough time in their schedule to do that. And they have invited speakers as well, and a research paper.
Fun.
Yeah. Any other questions?
So you said you have taught environmental studies before. So one of my questions is looking at the courses of study, the required field trips, what would be expected for something like that for an environmental studies major?
Are you talking about the major where it says an off-campus experience kind of thing, or an internship? So
go ahead.
Okay, so in environmental studies, just the class, the intro class, there are some field components. Right now, our botanist teaches that, and we have a prairie, right? So we have a tall grass prairie, a restored prairie, so there would be field trips out to that. My ecology class has field trips, basically our labs. We're going out into the field and taking measurements in different types of habitat. So we go to bogs, we go to prairie, we go to old growth forest, that kind of thing. So those are just little things. I can't remember, there's an independent study component, I think, of a major too, and you can fulfill that in many different ways. So you can do an off-campus study. I run an in-focus, so I run a 3-week course in Costa Rica that counts toward well, it counts toward the bio major, it counts toward the environmental studies major, where we go to Costa Rica, we learn about biodiversity, we learn about conservation, extinction, all that stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. Jaden, I live in Oshkosh. Are you north or west?
Black Wolf area.
Oh, okay.
Winnipeg. Well, like
Southwest.
south, I guess. But I
Oh,
go to like
what high school
Stewart,
do you go to?
Valley Christian.
Okay, got it.
So
Great.
like we got to go up there. So, yeah.
That's a big drive, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Other questions you guys have? I'm going to put my video back on. Oh, didn't work. Anybody have any questions about specific catalyst questions? I'm hoping you all are familiar with that term, those
Oh,
5
right,
classes.
I teach that too.
Yeah, maybe Mamuni, you want to talk about the class that I know you've taught, the fact or fiction, right?
Facts or fiction, yeah. So the other part of some of the credits that go toward graduation are in the Catalyst curriculum. It's 1 semester, it's 5 semesters, right? I teach 120, which is quantitative literacy, and I've done it since the beginning of since we've instituted the curriculum. My course is called Freshman Facts or Fiction. And so basically the course is crafted around arguing with numbers, being persuasive with numbers, how to compare numbers with care and attention, and not to deceive. So although we do talk about deceptive numbers and how they've been used in the media. So some of the facts and fictions, like for instance, the students right now are writing a paper about the freshman 15. So they're looking at sources and they're going to write an essay to argue that the freshman 15 is real or not real or something in between, right? So they have to draw some conclusions. Other topics that we've dealt with are laptops versus longhand. So sort of evaluating the data about learning from taking notes on your laptop versus taking notes while writing in class. Yeah, so, and of course, COVID is on everyone's mind. So I do a lot of numbers about COVID are coming out all the time. So I bring some current events. And then the students have to do, one of the learning goals of Catalyst 120 is public speaking. And so the students have to do oral presentations using numbers to argue. So I do a numbers in the news where the students present twice about a topic that they're interested in, that they want to educate the rest of us about and persuade us with numbers to their side. So that's how I do it. And I use this awesome textbook called Naked Statistics. It's just an adorable textbook. Yeah, so that's what I do for Catalyst. And then I don't know, many of you are interested in med school. So I had Barbara send me some information, like to give you some examples of the medical schools that students from the Ripon program have gotten into. Medical College of Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin-Madison, Des Moines University, Mayo Clinic, we have students, Duke University, and PCOM Georgia South. We also successfully send students to dental school. We have somebody going to Detroit Mercy and Creighton. Physical therapy, University of Wisconsin-Madison. We've had a couple of students interested in optometry. And so students have been placed at Indiana University, Pacific University, and the Illinois School of Optometry. And we have a really nice program with Rush University for a master's in nursing. So several students each year enter that program. And you need to maintain a certain GPA. And the students who go well, Rush is very happy with the students that we send. And we've had this relationship for many years. And the students that go to Rush really like the education that they're getting. We've also had students go to Marquette, physician's assistant, Trine University and Marquette. Then of course, some students are interested in pharmacy. We've sent students to Wisconsin-Madison. And then veterinary school. I usually work most closely with the veterinary students because I love animals and so do they, I suppose, and I work with animals. I've arranged for several internships at the Menominee Park Zoo in Oshkosh. So several of the students who went to vet school did internships at the Menominee Park Zoo through my relationship with them. So University of Illinois, University of Wisconsin-Madison, we have somebody there now. Lincoln Memorial is where they've been placed. So I think we have a really good track record for health professions.
Professor, a student is asking, Kenneth is asking, what biology related classes would I take for a pre-physical therapy major? I pulled up the one sheet. Do you have anything to answer it off the top of your head? Because
No.
I'll mention the ones I see on this and maybe you can elaborate. So
Sure.
Bio 121, Bio
Intro
219, Bio 216, Bio
I teach that.
211. Bio 314 or some of the ones I'm seeing on here.
Sure. So 216 is vertebrate zoology. I teach that. Was 219 on there?
I don't see 219.
So if any of you are interested in health professions, in our catalog, there's we have sort of roadmaps to what courses you would take in the back of the catalog to take a look at. So Bio 314 is microbiology. So you'd be taking microbiology, vertebrate zoology. You'd probably be taking anatomy and physiology. Was 211 on there?
Yes.
Yep, 211 and maybe 312. So 2 semesters of anatomy and physiology. Yep. And then, of course, 2 semesters of chemistry and maybe an extra chemistry. I'm not sure.
Kenneth, if you would like, I can simply send you the link of this particular handout that's online. All of our academics have what we call a one sheet online, and you can see kind of the overview as well as that roadmap that Professor just alluded to, that every major has basically a set schedule of 4 years. So you can kind of see what classes you would take, kind of the way it would lay out. It's just a sample. You can move things around, but what's nice about that is that you'll see what's required in red. The blue on these sheets is going to be those catalyst courses that we talk about, those 5 courses. And then in most cases, you'll see some tan boxes where it says your choice. That is literally what that means. You can take any course on campus, really across the board, to fill in that extra spaces. Again, our requirements are very simply those 5 courses. You complete a major and you complete 124 credits.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Could you send that to me?
I sure will. Yep.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Do you know if you have a lot of internship opportunities for people going pre-med?
So when you say, so the Pre-Med Society, right? They sort of, so it's a student group. Generally the what do I want to say? What would we have? Ripon Medical Center? Juniors, I think, can get, so there's two things that I've noticed students are doing. They work in the ambulances, so they're EMTs. We have some that get EMT training. We have a lot of retirement facilities. So CNAs, we have several people have CNAs and they get hands-on experience that way, either during the semester or over the summer, either locally or back at home. And then we've got students that get some intern hour, like more hours, hands-on hours by volunteering at the medical center. But I think those hours tend to go to the sort of the more advanced students. Okay. I don't think you're getting in there as freshmen.
I'm answering a question to Emily a little bit in the chat to her, but she's asking about what major or minor would be good for a veterinary medicine program for the pre-vet. And what I'm going to say is it's not really a requirement at all, but obviously you'll be doing chemistry and biology. You can expand on that, Mamuna.
Right. So what's interesting is several of the students who have majored, so I've had students major in biology going into veterinary school. And also you might want to take a look at psychobiology. we have several students who have been interested in, we have a student who's just graduating from vet school this year. She was a psychobio major. So on campus, we have, well, actually somebody in our department works with lab rats. She works with sex and gender, right? So we have a rat colony on campus. So that means you have opportunities to work with animals. And then we have someone in psych who studies rat behavior. So basically what I'm saying is you can have some hands-on experience with caretaking of animals on campus, especially if you're connected to the psych department, and also through our department. And then of course, if you're interested in sort of experience with wild animals, I can give you experience with handling birds. So at least 2 of the students that I've worked with are now keepers. One is an avian specialist at the Lincoln Children's Zoo in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I have someone who just got a job recently in Illinois as a zookeeper. I've also had somebody who works at the Shed Aquarium. So anyway, and I can give you experience with handling wild animals. I mean, birds, basically. I also banned osprey in the summer. So if you're here in the summer, you can get some experience with some larger birds. And next year, I'm working on getting my permits to ban red-tailed hawks and snowy owls and some of the bigger raptors. So that's an upcoming opportunity once I get those under my belt.
I would probably say too, there's a lot of vet clinics and humane societies that are really within a good distance of Ripon. That's one of the benefits of, we're small, but to get to, we have larger cities of Oshkosh, Appleton, Fond du Lac, even Madison, that are really kind of close. And there are those kinds of places that you could probably easily get some experiences in.
Yeah,
as
several
well.
students, yep, the Green Lake Humane Society for sure. And then I think almost at least 2 of my students have interned at local veterinarian offices. So we have a good relationship with them.
Good. A question from Ian. If I want to get a PhD, are there programs on campus I can use to prepare for grad school?
So that's an interesting question, because that's what we are most qualified to do, since we are PhDs, right? So you get lots of mentoring from us. I have a student who is just finishing up her, she finished up her PhD. She's on a Fulbright right now. She studies bats. And so she's in Finland, actually, studying bats. She did her master's on white nose fungus. And Barbara Sisson, she has a student doing he's at Duke and he studies developmental biology. He actually Zoomed in for her developmental biology class just last week to demonstrate sea urchin fertilization, which was really, really neat. Yeah, so we have many students, we prepare many students to go on to graduate school, which is really pretty exciting. So we don't have any special programs, but because you have personal relationships with us, we're mentoring you from day one if that's your interest.
Because I want to get my PhD in biochemistry and then go to med school, because I think it'll probably help.
Okay.
A bit.
Mm-hmm.
So is it a chem bio double major supplementary for a biochemistry degree, or is that?
So we don't. So we have. It's called chemistry biology. It's not the same as a biochemistry degree. So if you took a look at a biochemistry major at some other institution, the courses are not going to be the same. If you take a look at our chemistry biology major and line it up with the requirements for med school, you'll see that they are eerily similar, right? And that's basically because med school is requiring a pretty hefty amount of chemistry in addition to biology. So it is a different major than biochemistry. If you're interested in biochemistry, I would recommend majoring in chemistry.
Remember, at Ripon, there aren't any students that are grad students. So when professors like Professor Khan and others are wanting to do research or needing students to help with projects, they're asking you. there's no grad students to ask. So that's a benefit of coming to a small school as well, that you're getting the experience with those professors.
Yep. We also have a fish colony and a greenhouse that students help us run these things, right? So they get experience that these are all jobs that graduate students would be doing. And one thing that we've heard is that our students are, because they actually learn these hands-on skills, they are in a better position to get jobs in technical labs. They know what they're doing. Whereas in other institutions, either things have moved online or it's so cookbook, right? You're not ever troubleshooting.
We have a few minutes left. The next session that is going to start at 5:30 is exercise science. If you wanted to stay on, it's the same Zoom, so I'm just going to stay here when this one ends, and we'll have Professor Followay join us. But just want to give you that heads up. If you have any last minute questions for Professor Khan tonight, I'm sure she's more than happy to answer them. Whatever I can do to help, we can connect you. I can send your contact information to Professor Khan if you wish. So she has your info. I mean, just let us know.
Yep.
So what kind of internship programs would you have for environmental studies? I'm not sure because I work during the summers at the Hancock Agricultural Research Station. I'm not sure if you've heard of that before, but I don't know what you have on campus or through the campus.
So, so we facilitate, so internships you usually get college credit toward graduation for those, right? So someone on campus is working with you to fill out paperwork so that you get credit. We've had students work at Thousand Island Environmental Center. So at nature centers, right? We have several within, I don't know, 50 mile radius, like Bay Beach up in Green Bay. Right, so we can help you with that. I have connections, obviously, with the Menominee Park Zoo. And let's see. Right, yeah. And then all of these little places are always looking for people to help them out, right? And then so you work with one of us so that you get credit toward the major, and we give you ideas and stuff. And we also post, like when we receive other places internships would be botanical gardens. Madison Botanical Gardens always advertises us too, right? So we help be a clearinghouse for these opportunities for you. And then it's up to you to sort of apply for them and get a seat, get a position. Yeah.
Okay.
But like we've been managing we started a Google sheet that we're sharing the link with the students. So I get emails from, the garden club about scholarships. So we're putting that in there. And I get emails from the botanical gardens that they have summer positions. And so we're putting it on a Google sheet that we're sharing with our students so that they can access them. Same thing with these National Science Foundation research experiences for undergraduates. This is a great opportunity pre-grad school, pre-med school, pre-vet school, right? So we sort of put those advertisements up and then students will apply for them. We of course write recommendations for you. You're competing nationally for these. And then if you get one over the summer, so those are really great opportunities. So we help you find them and support you while you're applying for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. Because sometimes you might find your own,
Yeah, that's why I wasn't sure, because I work at an agricultural research station. Last summer I started and then they asked me back this summer. So I didn't know if that would count as an internship to get credits for.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that would start, like, if I work there this summer, that wouldn't count. It's when I'm actually enrolled. So like summer of freshman year.
Right. Yeah. And so for instance, when I'm the mentor, when I'm actually the content for an internship, we have things in the catalog, right? So if you're doing an internship with an outside group like this, say you're working on research, we may ask that you prepare a paper, right? Or give a public presentation when you're on campus. We kind of ask the supervisor, I always ask the supervisor to send me an evaluation of your work, right? And then you can earn college credit, 1 to 2 credits, depending on how much work you've done. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Because I had somebody working at Argonne National Labs last year, right? They found it on their own and he got credit. What he was doing was managing a database on all the papers that have been published on microplastics in the ocean, right? This would be an example of them. And so I got in contact with his supervisor. She sent me the evaluation. He wrote a paper. He showed me the product that he did, and then I could submit a grade, and he earned, I think, probably 1 credit for his summer's work. Yeah.
Gotcha. Nice.
You're welcome.
Well, I do want to thank Professor Khan for joining us tonight, as well as all of you. It's good to see names and faces and connect a little bit. Wishing you the best as you continue your senior year. Stay tuned for more sessions like this and others. We have some fun sessions that we'll plan just to kind of hang out with current students. There's one next week, actually. Again, we're going to put together some raffle items for the end of the semester to have you join in and earn tickets by attending sessions like this. If you have questions, you probably have my email that you would have gotten from events like this, so feel free to run them by me. I am happy to get you connected to whoever you need to be connected to. And with that, I will end officially this session. Again, thank you, Professor Khan, for helping us out tonight, and have a wonderful night, okay? And again, if you want to stay on, we will go into exercise science in just a few minutes.
Good to see you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I am Jill Cardinal. I'm the campus event coordinator, and this is my new way of doing events. I'm used to having things on campus, but we've adapted, right? So Zoom is my new friend, and this is great because you guys can all join us from your homes and from all over the state and the country. Brittany Followay is the professor who's joining us this evening for exercise science. We're going to kind of dive in a little bit. She's probably going to ask some more questions of you so we can kind of, get the direction of the conversation going for you all. Again, video is fine. You can unmute and ask questions. You can use the chat button, whatever you want to do. Okay. And with that, I think, Professor, I will just turn things over to you. If you want to kind of kick us off with an intro of yourself, and then maybe give a real, I guess, a quick overview, and then we can dive into some questions.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'm Professor Followay. I have been at Ripon College in the exercise science department. This is my 3rd year. So I came here from Ohio, born and raised there. My husband and I, we like it here in Wisconsin. It's just about the same, a little bit colder here. The snow doesn't melt ever. It just kind of sticks around. So that's the biggest difference, but enjoying it. So with the exercise science department at Ripon College, we have a lot of different pathways that you can take. So you could do physical therapy, pre-PT, and I can talk about some of the coursework there. You could go athletic training, you could go physical education, or human performance. Human performance is extremely broad. So I'm going to end up sharing my screen and I'll give you guys an idea of some of the careers that you could get into. And then we have various minors that I can talk to you guys about. So we also have sport management within our department. So since we have so many tracks that you can go into, I kind of want to get an idea of what all of you are interested in. So Kenneth, I know you said physical therapy, Jaden, undecided. Aiden, do you have anything specific or just kind of want to get a general idea of what we offer?
Either athletic training or physical therapy.
T or PT. Okay, Dylan.
Athletic training and physical therapy too.
PT or PT. Okay, Nicholas.
Athletic training and human performance.
Athletic training and human performance. Okay, and then are the rest parents on here? Chris and Trudy? Kevin?
I'm just on my mom's account. I'm Joe.
Yeah, it's Joe. Joe Krieger.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks, Joe.
All right. Joe, any specific direction or you kind of want to hear everything?
I was looking more sports management.
Okay. All right. And then Chris.
That's a father.
Father,
right?
okay.
Yep. And so
All
is
right.
Kevin. Yep.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Oh, can you?
Can you do it now?
Yep, I should be able to get it now.
There you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys, hopefully you can all see my screen. Okay. So this is a presentation that we use for our students during their freshman year. So I'll just go over it briefly with all of you, just because there's so many careers in the exercise science or exercise physiology field. So with getting into health and wellness, and this would be more of like the human performance direction. So personal trainer, this would be your most basic. You could also get into exercise testing, corporate wellness. Corporate wellness would be going around to different facilities and working with their insurance companies to get an idea of their health status. So looking at cholesterol, blood pressure, glucose, a lot of those variables. And with their insurance company, you can then offer them discounts on premiums. Strength and conditioning specialist. This would be if you want to work with college athletes, professional athletes, maybe even high school athletes. Wellness consultant. This could be, a lot of this is corporate as well. So for an example, KeyBank, they will hire wellness consultants to work with their employees. And then tactical strength and conditioning. So the Army, the Navy, Coast Guard, they will hire exercise physiologists to train within there. Another route that you can go with human performance is a clinical route. So if you want to work with maybe cardiac or pulmonary patients, maybe when they're recovering from a heart attack, recovering from a stroke, you could do that. Stress testing and EKG interpretation, this would fall into that. So these top three, they would all be more of a hospital setting. Pharmaceutical and medical sales are becoming really popular with the exercise science major. So if you like to travel, if you like to talk to people, this is a great area for you to get into. And then research is another area, whether it's in the hospital or maybe at a college or university. So these are all various options with human performance. And then on the next slide, we have some, we call them our pre-professional areas or our medical and allied health careers. So occupational therapy or an occupational therapy assistant. This is becoming a really popular field with a lot of degree opportunities even throughout Wisconsin now. Orthotist or prosthesis. So if you want to work maybe with those who recovered for an injury or prescribing prostheses, and then physical therapy, which it sounds like a lot of you guys are interested in, either that or athletic training. If you're looking to be more in the hospital setting, possibly a physician assistant. And then these are some other less common options for our exercise science majors. So looking at biomechanics. So with biomechanics, maybe you're working with athletes to perfect a certain skill, looking at the way the body moves, or ergonomics, maybe working with people to be more efficient in the workplace. And then education. So there's a lot of different options. The last thing in this presentation is within exercise science, we have 2 professional organizations. And as we are changing the curriculum at Ripon, a lot of our courses, they're governed by these 2 organizations. And this is a big benefit because once you guys graduate, you would want to start thinking about potential certifications that you could get. 2 that I want to bring to your attention just because they're new, they're rare, and a lot of students don't know about them, is this tactical strength and conditioning facilitator. So if you maybe want to train the Army or train the Navy, this is a great certification you could get. And then also cancer exercise trainer. So this is certainly new. So if you're interested in that clinical population, we do offer a course that could prepare you for that. And feel free to ask me any questions that you guys have, whether you just feel free to say it, or if you want to type it in the chat, that's fine. So I'm going to just briefly go through our coursework that we offer at Ripon, just to give you a general idea of what classes you would be taking. So I'm going to start with athletic training, just because we seem to have a strong interest in either that or physical therapy. So these are our graduation trackers. So the exercise science department, we have one for each one of our majors. The way that we have these set up is everything on top that you see here, these are required courses. Down here in the notes section, these are some classes that you're going to need to take. They're prerequisites for these classes up here. And then we always keep track of your Catalyst courses. So I'm sure you guys have heard about the Catalyst curriculum. It's great in that it really opens up a lot of credit hours for you guys. So it's fairly easy for our students, especially in exercise science, to either double major or get a major with a minor or even 2 minors. So within your required courses, you'll see some courses that have a heavy emphasis on athletic training. So this prevention and care, and then your recognition and evaluation of athletic injuries and therapeutic rehab. Aside from that, you'll have PhysEx. This course right here, this physiology of exercise, this is a common class with all of our majors, whether you're going athletic training, physical therapy, human performance. The only one that doesn't have to take this one is sport management. Okay, and then another thing I just want to point out is the internship on here. So we do require all of our majors to do a 4 credit hour internship. This is really beneficial because a lot of your employers, or even if you're thinking about grad school, they're going to be looking for hands-on experience. So you can either do this at Ripon College. We have opportunities for all of our majors. If you're athletic training, a lot of our athletic training students will do their internship with our department. Or we do have access to Ripon Medical Center with their athletic trainers. And then, let's see, senior seminar. This is another common course for all of our majors. Here you get the opportunity to work with the faculty in the department. You're going to design a research study. Some of our students will carry out the research study and actually collect the data, and they seem to really like that. Some of our students, they'll just do more of a literature review. But this would be taken during the last semester of your senior year, and it gives you an opportunity to really dive into whatever you're really interested in. And then I want to point these out down here for AT and also for PT. So Bio 121, this is Intro to Bio. Bio 211 is Anatomy and Physiology. So these are prerequisites for PhysEx and also for A&P 2, which you see here. We also would require Chem 111 and Chem 112, and then Psych 110, so Psychology 110. So from there, I'm just going to pull up, we call this our graduation tracker. And for those of you who are interested in PT or AT, what this does is it breaks it down by major. So when you're thinking about graduate school for athletic training, these are courses that most programs are going to require that you take in order for you to get accepted. So the nice thing about how we've designed our prerequisites for our program is that you're going to get a lot of these anyways. So in order to graduate from Ripon, you have to take 121, 211, 312, and you have to take Chem 111 and 112. So you've already met a lot of these requirements just by taking our courses. And then there's a couple additional ones down here, like Math 120, it's a statistics class, and then physics. So that's for athletic training. PT, OT, so physical therapy and occupational therapy, these have very similar requirements for grad school, but you're still going to get quite a few of them, okay? A few additional, but that's what's really nice about the Catalyst curriculum is that it does open up so much that it's pretty easy for you guys to fit these in. Okay. So that is kind of an overview of AT and PT. Do you guys, if you have any questions, just feel free to let me know.
I got a question.
Yes.
So the sports management, is that like a sports agent kind of thing, or like what's that like?
Yeah, so with sport management, a lot of our students, maybe they want to be an athletic director. You could get into marketing, sales, advertising.
Yeah, because I was thinking like maybe, I mean, I don't know like what the job security or that is, but like a sports agent, or just because my guidance counselor was like, I think it'd be good as like a insurance agent or something, but, you know, but if like sports too, you know, or like the pharmaceutical thing. I know my uncle's like sells that stuff, but like the interacting with people and selling things, like I was thinking, oh, that might be interesting too. So
yeah, so pharmaceutical and medical sales it's growing quite a bit. My brother-in-law does it, and he gets to travel, and he loves it, and he loves to interact with people, so he's perfect at it. He's a big talks a lot, so he really enjoys it. If you're wanting to get into sports agent, sport management would be a good way to go.
Okay.
And I can go over those courses.
Sure, if you have time or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, any questions specifically for AT or PT? Kind of throwing a lot at you guys, but just want to give you an idea of the coursework.
Right. For Chem 111 and Chem 112, are you like, is that like all chemistry things?
Yes, yeah, it's going to be both chemistry based courses.
Okay,
so you would, what's that?
Sorry, no, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so if you're not big on chemistry, which I know some students aren't, I have heard they're not too bad, but they are going to be required, especially for athletic training, physical therapy. If anybody's kind of wanting to get away from the chemistry, we do offer a human performance major, and I'll talk about that a little bit. With human performance, you wouldn't necessarily be able to go into athletic training or physical therapy without this chem requirement, but there's still a lot of career paths that you could do with that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions on athletic training or physical therapy? Okay. All right, so I'll go over sport management next. So this one is laid out a little bit differently. So for sport management, again, if you're wanting to be maybe a sports agent, an athletic director, get into sales, marketing, advertising, this would be a great route for you to go. A lot of our sport management students, they will double major in maybe finance, communications, business management. So those are great double majors that are very doable because you will have quite a bit of overlap in courses. Or if you're not looking for a double major, a minor in any of those areas pairs really well with this major as well. So the way that this is laid out is, let's see if I can highlight these. So these courses right here, these are all required. So you have to take all of these for graduation. So with sport management, you're going to get a little bit more into the sports law, administration, and you'll see that these are 2 credit hour courses. So the way these would be set up is you would take admin 1, say in the fall semester, it's 2 credits, and then you would take admin 2 in the spring semester. And we set sport law up very similarly. You would still have your internship, so a 4 credit hour internship. And I forgot to mention this earlier, with internships, you can do these over the summer as well. And that's when a lot of our students prefer to do them, especially if you have a connection back home. So that's a great opportunity. So those top ones, those are required. And then down here, so starting with BSA 110, out of these courses, you just have to pick 2 of them. It can be any 2. A lot of our students will pick these courses based on, say you're double majoring in business management. Well, 2 of these courses count towards a business management major. So in that sense, you could kind of double dip a little bit. So that's a general idea of coursework here. So 42 credit hours. Once you take the 24 Catalyst, you're only at about 62 credits. This is wrong down here. So you'll have about 62 credits to work with. So certainly a lot of opportunity for another major or minors.
Okay, I have another question then.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, I mean, if they're overlap, or if for the extra 2 that you would like you could take, do you know which ones, if I wanted to be a sports agent, that are more focused towards that? Or is it kind of like, it's so like up there that?
For something like a sports agent, I would say probably like BSA 315, strategic management. And then probably any of the BSA ones. And that would be something, so when you come here, say you're going to major in sport management, you would have 2 advisors. You would have one in the exercise science department, and then you would also get one in the business department.
Okay.
So you would be able to get input from both advisors. So that's really helpful.
Okay, thank you.
And then it would also matter, say if you're going to go to graduate school, which maybe you haven't even thought about yet. But if you were thinking about it, you could also look into maybe prerequisites to get into that program.
Okay.
And then some students will base these courses off of that.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on sport management? Okay. All right. Let's go through, we'll do human performance. So human performance, this is a very broad degree. So this would be if you want to get into personal training, wellness consulting, tactical training. This would be a lot of your clinical areas. So if you want to work with cardiac patients, pulmonary patients, if you want to get into stress testing, pharmaceutical sales could even fall into this, either this or sport management. So this is extremely broad. Here, so somebody asked earlier about the chem. This major won't require as much of the biochemistry as, say, athletic training or physical therapy. So this can be a good route for a lot of students, depending on what you want to do. Some similarities here. If you do go into human performance, you're still going to get information on the athletic injuries. So you could leave human performance and then maybe become a strength and conditioning specialist. If you wanted to get into coaching or working with college or professional athletes, this is great. You also have the senior seminar here, so an opportunity to dive into research, and then your internship. Internships with human performance. Here at Ripon College, we have some connections. So we have a personal training program. We also work with the local YMCAs. We work with the local senior center. So internships with human performance are definitely available. They're out there, but either way, you're going to have to do one for all of our majors. Looking down here, Bio 121, that's intro to bio, and then Bio 211 is anatomy. That would be the only bio you would have to take with this major. It's just a prerequisite for this physiology of exercise course. Okay. And then psychology 110 and sociology 110, these also serve as prerequisites. Okay. And just to give you guys a reminder, these would all be your different career paths if you're going to go human performance. So there's certainly a lot out there, and this doesn't even have everything on there. So any questions on courses for human performance or careers, anything?
What like graduate school paths would a physical therapist take?
So for physical therapy, once you get your 4-year degree, you're looking at about another 3 to 4 years for physical therapy. So generally about 8 years. When you're going physical therapy, my biggest recommendation is if you're thinking about physical therapy or even athletic training, try to start getting into, intro to bio or maybe a 100 level chem course just to get an idea and to see if you want to do it. Another big thing is that some students will be torn between athletic training and physical therapy. And they're both extremely different. So during your freshman year, or even before that, if you have the opportunity, see if you can go in and shadow somebody. So if you have a local physical therapy clinic near you, just give them a call and see, hey, can I come in and kind of see what you do? And then do the same thing for athletic training, because they're extremely different populations. And it's always hard for students when they get into like their junior or senior year and they start doing an internship, and then they feel a little unsure about what they want to do. So for physical therapy, typically 4 more years after. For athletic training, starting in 2022, athletic trainers are going to be required to go to graduate school. For athletic training, it's about 2 to 3 years. Okay. But both would require further education. All right. Any other questions so far?
There'll be a test later, so I'm joking. Lots of information.
Is anybody going physical education? I don't think I heard anyone say it. Okay. Then the last thing I'll give you guys an idea of, so these are our minors. Adapted physical education would be if you're a physical education major, so I won't talk about that one too much. Coaching, we offer a minor in coaching. If you're thinking about, actually this pairs well with any of our majors. The most common would be if you're going in for sport management, you could get a minor in coaching. When you look at this, these would be required courses, and then you would select 2 of the coaching of, and then 1 from down here. So this seems like a lot of coursework, but the nice thing is that 2 of these courses and at least 1 down here, you're actually already required to take for the major. So you get to double dip with the major and minor. So coaching is recommended if you want to work particularly with college or professional athletes. Okay, or if you're going in for sport management, maybe you want to be an athletic director and coach as well. So that's a good opportunity. We have a health minor. This is most commonly paired again with physical education, but it is there if you were interested in it. And then our other most common minor is strength and conditioning. So this does set you up to be a certified strength and conditioning specialist. This pairs really well with athletic training, physical therapy, and human performance. And the same thing goes for this. These are your required courses up here, and then you choose one of these. But say you're going to go for human performance, For human performance, you're already required to take these 3 classes, and you're also going to end up taking this EXS 211. So essentially, it's only 2 more courses that you would take for the minor. So we always try to encourage our students to either get 2 minors or double major in minor, but just to give you an idea of the minors that we have. Okay, so now that I have probably overwhelmed you guys with information, any other questions, anything else you guys want me to talk about?
We have like 10 minutes-ish, so feel free to throw some questions out there for Professor.
With like some of the prerequisite courses, are you able to still receive help from the teacher with those kind of courses or no?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, any of our courses, you can, I'm going to stop sharing here. Yeah, you can absolutely receive help from any of the instructors, the professor that's teaching it. We have tutoring services available on campus. So if it's something where, you know, some of our students, maybe they're not really strong in bio or chem, but they still want to go AT and PT, we certainly have services on campus that can help you to be successful in those. So yeah, any course that you take, you'll be able to get help.
Tutoring is free as well. So right off the
Yes.
bat, if you need a little extra help is always good.
Yep. Any other questions?
So, with like athletic training, and say you were to take athletic training and human performance, would some of those classes like I guess align with one another, since would some of them have the same thing? So would you have to I guess like repeat or do the same thing twice in both classes, or no?
Nope. So I'll put them side by side. So here's our athletic training. Here's human performance. So you'll see that some of them certainly overlap. So EXS 211 counts for both. You would only have to take it 1 time. Same for motor learning. What else? Psychological aspects will overlap. Physiology of exercise will overlap. Biomechanics, research methods, and senior seminar. So when you take those classes, you only have to take them once and they will count towards both majors. The only thing on here that overlaps between the two that you would have to do twice would be the internship. So you would have to do a 4 credit hour internship for athletic training and a 4 credit hour internship for human performance. But that's the only one that you can't double dip on. So that's a really good question, because we actually do encourage a lot of our students to pair these 2 majors together to double major, just because there's so much course overlap that it's so doable and it's so beneficial, and it opens so many career paths for you guys. So that was a good question, but yeah, you do not have to take them twice or do extra in the classes for it to count for both.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
With that like overlapping of classes, so like the 4 credits, is it 4 credits total for both then, or do you get 8?
You would get full, it would just be 4 credits. So on your transcript, like, it wouldn't show up as 8.
Okay.
But it would still count towards both majors. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
With like workload of like prerequisites, like how much of that would, I guess, like how big is it, like the workload within those classes?
The workload within those classes, what we try to do is we wouldn't want to we wouldn't want to load you, say, with chem, bio, physics in one semester, or sometimes we even try to avoid chem and bio in one semester. So we'll try to mix those prerequisites in with your other courses for the major to kind of lighten that heavy biochem load. To give you an idea of overall course load, you need 124 to graduate. So that'll be about 16 credits a semester, which is typically about 4 classes. Unless you have some 2 credit hour courses, then maybe you're taking 5 classes. If you're going AT-PT, you may run into a scenario where maybe you're at 18 credits a semester. We try to minimize that, especially if you're an athlete. We can try to have you at a higher course load during, if you're off in the fall, and then have a lighter course load in the spring. But overall, we try to not overload the heavy chem bio in one semester.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Or I got another question.
Go for it.
So for the like, say the sports agent, like, would you want to not like that you have to have a law degree? Would that help like getting like contracts and endorsements kind of stuff? Or is that the sports law? Is that kind of like part of the class? Like, I mean, it might be different, but like, are there elements? Is that why like the sports law is part of like the path you would take? Like, or no?
See, that's a really, I would not think that for a sports agent, you do not need a law degree. No. But for the law, the sports law, we just incorporate it in that major. So it would certainly help with becoming a sports agent, but I'm 95% positive you don't need a law degree to become a sports agent.
Yeah, because I thought like there might be elements of like negotiating and stuff like that, like in the business part and part of the class, but then
yeah, I mean, hey, if you want to get a law degree, that could certainly help.
Oh yeah. And then is there like the job security, or is it kind of hard to get? I mean, that shouldn't like stop you, but or is like kind of hard to get into that field? Or
sports agent, I don't know if I can speak specifically to that.
That's
but I do know that everything in exercise science, exercise physiology is growing. It's one of the fastest growing career fields that there is right now, and it's expected to continue growing.
With the 2 advisors might know more about that too then? Like,
yeah, so that's the nice thing. And we also have Professor Mark Cole in our department, and he is really good with the sport management aspect. So between him and our business department, they could certainly answer some more questions, and I'd be happy to share his information as well.
Okay, thank you.
I will put Mark's and your email in the chat buttons, folks. If you guys want to chat or write those down, I'll put those in there now.
Yeah, Professor Cole is great with sport management. If you're looking for sport psychology, sport sociology, those are some other areas that I didn't touch on a lot. So he can be really helpful with that. Otherwise, you guys can always reach out to me with any questions, especially in AT-PT. I can certainly answer anything that you think of. I know right now it may be hard to think of questions, but if you come up with anything, feel free to reach out.
I have a question in regards to, you had mentioned with the internships with those 2 majors, you would have to do that twice. Mm-hmm. Would you also have to do the senior seminar twice as well?
No.
No.
So that would just be once.
Okay, cool.
And to give you an idea with the internships, it's 4 credit hours. For each credit hour, it's 40 hours of work. So it's about 160 hours total. So we encourage students to spread it over a full semester, even if it's over the summer, but some students can fit it into their winter break. If they're home for a full month and you just want to work that whole time, you can do it then as well. It's really nice if you can get a paid internship.
Any final thoughts as we wrap things up this evening? I do want to thank Professor Falloway for helping us out tonight. There's so much information in the exercise science area. So I hope that was helpful to you. I know some of you are enrolled for fall. Some of you are not quite yet, which is totally fine. We're glad you're learning more about campus. If you have questions, again, I put in the chat both Professor Falloway and Professor Cole's emails. You can also reach back out to me. You probably have my email from events like this or your admission counselor. Again, any last minute questions?
Oh yeah, thanks for the events though, the meetings.
Oh,
It's good.
yeah, I'm more than happy. Thanks for coming.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if I said this earlier in this session, but every time you join one of these throughout this semester, we have raffle drawings. We're going to put those out there soon, but end of April, there'll be a senior party raffle drawing for all of the students who wish, and we'll give away some great prizes. There's going to be more of these sessions. We have some tomorrow, one based on students who are multi-interested, and then on business. So if you're interested in any of those areas, those are happening tomorrow at 4 and 4:45. And then next week, I will put out there on the 24th at 8 p.m., we are going to have what we're calling a pop-up event. And this you'll see on messaging and Facebook the day of. You can join. We're going to have a couple of students who will host that. Really just a fun night to share and chat and ask questions of students. There will not be any staff like myself or professors on. It's really for you to connect. I know, again, many of you on here probably are involved with athletics. So it's kind of cool for you to kind of connect this way as well and see each other. You might be teammates and or classmates in the fall. So keep watching for more Zoom events. We don't want to Zoom you out, but it's a great way to have you connect with us and others. And we're pleased to have you on online. So thanks for joining. Again, thanks, Brittany. I'm going to end the session here in just a sec. Any last minute, one more chance for questions? These are recorded, so if there's a session that you didn't get to listen to or you want to go back and find some information that was shared, they should be up to YouTube later in the week, I'm hoping. So you can check Ripon College academic sessions. You should be able to find it by searching that. And again, thank you and have a wonderful night and the rest of your senior year. Best of luck to you all.
All right. Bye, everyone. It was nice meeting all of you. Feel free to reach out with questions.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.